It's Charlie from Charlie Reads and Reviews, and I'm here with another book haul. Now, I know I just posted one, but that was for April. I was just late with posting it. But the truth is, I probably buy books several times a month. So I didn't want to bore you with every single time I buy a book, but this time it was a little bit special. So we have a chain of bookstores known as Exclusive Books here in South Africa, which is a big chain called Exclusive Books here in South Africa, and which would be the equivalent of Barnes and Noble in the US and Waterstones in the UK. I don't know enough about other bookstores around the world to know what the equivalent is, but if you understand what that means, is it's a really big chain of bookstores you can find anywhere in South Africa. They're also very expensive, but if you are looking for specific, if you want a larger, um, I guess I don't know if category is the right word, but a lot of large selection of books, you're guaranteed to find them at an exclusive books. Of course, it depends on the size of the actual exclusive books. So some are larger, so your chances are higher than the smaller ones, but definitely higher than our other stores like Bargain Books. Bargain Books is like the second biggest franchise, but and they are cheaper, slightly cheaper than exclusive books, but they don't necessarily have as wide a range of books. Anyways, they had a big warehouse sale. In fact, it's still going on right now. It started on Friday, the 5th of August, and it will end on the 15th of August, which I believe is a Sunday. Now, uh, I don't work on Fridays, and so I was like, it's kismet that it starts on a Friday. I'll be there at 9 o'clock in the morning. There'll be very few people, maybe just some moms looking for books for their kids. I was mistaken. There were several people there, quite a number of people there. This is the situation now. Calling the queue starts here, goes but I found some real great gems, so I think it's worth it. But by the time I left, and I left at about uh, 11:25, there were more people than when I arrived at 9. So I can imagine that it just got worse over the weekend. It's also a long weekend, so Tuesday is a public holiday in South Africa, and like a lot of people in the country like myself have taken Monday off, so I can imagine that there's a lot of people who went through to Fourways Mall this past weekend to that store. Anyways, I wanted to say, long story short, is that I wanted to showcase the books that I got. So I got 41 books. One of them is a book from my colleague, so I'm only going to show you, well, I can show you the one, it's a duplicate. But in essence, 40 books for myself. It is a lot of books, but they were worth it, I believe. So I've categorized them into books that I just had not planned to get, but they were kind of surprising to me. I either liked their cover, I liked their title, or I knew the author and knew nothing about the book, but it appealed to me. Um, then I've got a pile of books that were books that I actually had created a list for. So I created a very long list. I didn't get through all of them, but I was very, very happily surprised when I would find books that were on that list. And then there were books that I didn't have on my list that I knew about that I really wanted and pleasantly found them. So that's the three categories. And then there's books that I got for my nieces and nephew. Okay, let us get into it. So the first book I want to showcase is Haruki Murakami, Absolutely on Music. So it's Haruki Murakami and Ozawa. I hate that it's got a sticker on here. I'm going to figure out how to take it off because it wasn't actually 30% off. So that's the other thing I forgot to mention. Oh, nice. Is that it was actually 50 rands a book. So please don't do the maths when you count how much I spent. But this book was worth 262 rands, normal price. I'll also remove that at some point. And I got it for 50 rands. I own physically, I think three Haruki Murakami books, and on Audible another two, and I'm trying to collect as many of his books because I am hoping at one stage to actually just go through all of these books, read them, and rank them. Um, I did see on Exclusive Book Story that somebody found 1Q84, which is my favorite Haruki Murakami book. I listened to it, but to own it, I think I would have been so excited if I found it. Sadly, I didn't. I'm not going to go back. I promise. I promise. I'm not going through that chaos. It's a bit chaotic. Then the next one that I got, again, another one with a sticker that you should ignore, and I'll figure out how to get it off later, is Douglas Adams' So Long and Thanks for All the Fish. So I audibly own The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and then I hear like there's like a series of them. So again, this is typically 226 rands. I only got for 50. Um, so I've read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Then there's like The Restaurant at the End of the Universe, Life, The Universe and Everything, Mostly Harmless, uh, and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy radio scripts. I actually managed to get Mostly Harmless on a random book haul from CNA on sale. So when I saw this, I was like, "Ooh, maybe I can actually start to build out um, a collection of Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide collection." So I really, really did enjoy it. In fact, I have a tattoo from the Hitchhiker's Guide. You can't really see it here. It says "Don't panic," and the A and the N are actually a 42. Sorry, the lighting over there. And ooh, this is so awkward to show you, but you can kind of see the tattoo. But yeah, so I really, really enjoyed. Oh, and you can see here 42. A little bit of a nerd. So yeah, so I'm really glad to have a physical version of that. And then Sherlock Holmes. So when I was growing up, I really wanted to be a detective. Who knew? And I read a lot of Sherlock Holmes, the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes when I was younger. And so this one is the further adventures of Sherlock Holmes, the Venerable Tiger, by Sam Siciliano. So this is obviously not written. I forgot. Was it Sir Arthur Conan Doyle? I think is the original author of Sherlock Holmes. So it was on sale, and I thought it would be interesting just to read somebody else's expansion of this world, of this universe. There's not really a book, but it's a notebook, and it's a really pretty notebook for 50 rands. I know I could never ever get this notebook for that price. No B from here. So this is a book that is published by an independent book publisher in South Africa called Blackbird Books. I'm trying to show, they usually say they're over there, little cage, and they have triple B. Um, I know absolutely nothing about what this book is about, but I think, oh yeah, it's about Zambian, Nigerian, Jamaican families brought together post-colonial migration in the 1960s to the UK, and I just had me at that mixture, and I don't know anything else about it. I just bought it on whim. I'm also trying to build up my collection of books that are published by Blackbird Books and Cassava Republic. They're independent, black owned, black woman owned, black African woman owned publishing houses here. Cassava Republic is from Nigeria, and they are also headquartered in the UK. And at this point in time, Blackbird Books is only headquartered here in South Africa, but I'm sure they have plans to expand. Drinking tea today. Then Rape by Pumla Dineo Gola, sorry. A South African nightmare rape. So this was a book that one of my book clubs we were meant to have read in 2019, but honestly, I wasn't in the headspace to read it. But I recently finished In the Dream House, which talks about domestic violence between a lesbian couple or two women in a relationship, and I was starting to wonder about there were some interesting things that she brought up about the injustices that occur when you experience domestic violence, and people assume that it could not be domestic violence because you're both women. And it was, I started realizing that perhaps I need to explore, because I think that's a genre I haven't really gone into and read up on. There's a lot of things that she was making reference to, a lot of articles and books about this, and I know this is not specifically linked to that, but it is an aspect of gender based violence that is quite prevalent here in South Africa. And I was like, okay, I don't know if I'll read it this year, but I think I need to own it so that when I am in the right space to read it, I can. Then I saw this, The Dinner Guest by Gabriela Ibarra, I think. Sorry, my flask is so annoying. Let me actually pour out the rest of my tea. So I'm trying to limit the drinking. And so I haven't actually bought any wines. I have no wine in this house. I do have some gin. So I had some gin this morning. But I was like, let me pace myself, so I'm not going to have any more gin. When it comes to wine, the problem with me is like, I'll drink it all day. And then suddenly be like, ooh, I'm drunk, like by the evening. And so at least like with gin, I'm so aware of it that I'll like pace myself and be like, okay, Charlie, that's one. Pace yourself. Don't worry, this is actually tea. I've been drinking a lot of tea. I found this really beautifully delicious berry rooibos tea. Heaven. Anyway, so look at this cover. I really like this. So it's called The Dinner Guest by Gabriela Ibarra. I have no idea what this is about, but I was like, ooh, I feel like this is something I have heard about. I genuinely probably haven't, but I don't know. It spoke to me, it sang to me. So I'll just quickly read a little bit of a synopsis on it. In 1977, three terrorists broke into Gabriela Ibarra's grandfather's home and pointed a gun at him in the shower. This was the last time his family saw him alive, and his kidnapping played out in the press, culminating in his murder. Damn. Ibarra first heard the story when she was 8, but it was only after her mother's death, years later, that she felt the need to go deeper and discover more about her family's past. The Dinner Guest is a novel with a feel of documentary non-fiction. It connects two life-changing events: the very public death of Ibarra's grandfather and the more private pain as her mother dies from cancer. Damn. And Gabriella cares for her. Devastating yet luminous, the book is an investigation marking the arrival of a talented new voice in the international fiction. Okay, so it's been translated from Spanish. I've been wanting to read. So in this month, you'll see in my video, which will be, I'm sure, would have been uploaded before this one is, that for the month of August, I'm reading only women. Also, I just found out that the month of August is women in translation. So I think I could read this actually this month. And it's really short. It is only 140 pages. I may actually pick that up today. So she is Spanish. Oh, wow. I actually don't think I've read anything by a Spanish person yet, so that would also be great. Beautiful find, really random. Wasn't expecting much of it. I just read that synopsis now, so you can tell. I just bought it because I liked the cover. And I was like, I'm sure I've heard about this. I have not heard about it. Sorry, this chair keeps falling. And then I got The General in His Labyrinth by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, winner of the Nobel Prize. So I have really struggled to read any of his books. I own, in physical copy, Love in the Time of Cholera. I bought it 15 years ago. Yeah, 15 years ago maybe, and I've never finished it. But I have it, and I say one day I will. I Googled this, and people said that this was really good. And so I'm like, I know everyone said that 100 Years of Solitude is also really good, but I honestly struggled with that one as well. And I have it on audio, so I don't know if I should get a physical version of it. I will admit, I was hoping that this was 100 Years of Solitude, so I may still have to buy that physically. But yeah, I'm trying to. One of the other challenges I'm going to go through this year is reading 10 books from 10 different decades. I'm at 5 decades now. And this one was published. Let's just see when it was published. Oh. Ew. I hate it when they do this. Like, they'll show it was published in 1990, but I know that's not when it was first published. So they say here 1928. I may have to check on Goodreads to see when it was actually first published. So it was either first published in 1928, which would cover the 1920s, which I have not done, or it was published in 1990. I'm not sure, but I'll check this out. So it may cover either, I haven't read anything for 1990 yet, and I haven't read anything for the 1920s yet, I don't think. Yeah, I haven't yet, so it'll cover either one of them. Then I just got this because it was pretty, The Heroines of Olympus. So I realized I know nothing about Greek mythology. All I know about, okay, I'm going to say nothing. All I know about Greek mythology is what I've watched in all of the Greek mythology inspired movies. I've watched Troy, um, all of the Disney adaptations. I've watched all of the different random movies, but there's always a Hercules or there's always some kind of sun. I watched Percy Jackson, the movie adaptation. I haven't read any of the books. And my sister, Nolita, is obsessed with Greek mythology and she knows so much about it. So I was like, maybe I should get into this. So I've actually started collecting a bunch of books around Greek mythology. I have Mythos by Stephen Fry, Circe by Madeline Miller, Song of Achilles, I think also by Madeline Miller. And I thought Piranesi was also Greek mythology. I haven't read it yet, but I hear apparently it's not. But anyways, I was like, I think I really want to get into this. I want to learn more about this. And so I'd also heard that a lot of the books previously that have been written are very male focused. And so the representation of women is not the best. And so seeing that this was Heroines of Olympus, the women of Greek mythology, I just bought it. I also thought it was a pretty cover. Look how pretty it is. Okay. And it was 50 rands. Typically it's 343 rands. It's a steal. Genuinely, you have no idea what it's about. Ooh, damn. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, this was a beautiful, beautiful purchase. I'm so excited about this. So I am hopefully, if visas and shit come through, my passport just came through on Friday, so I'm gonna be starting the application process this week. I'll probably do that tomorrow morning, actually. All right, so I'm planning on going to live in Greece for a year, use the digital nomad visa. I have some family there that I'm going to be connecting with. So I'm really excited about that. And I think that in preparation for that, reading some Greek mythology is going to make my experience a little bit better. I've been to Greece before, Athens and Syros, one of the islands, but there's so many islands in Greece. That I think also I would actually go back to the Acropolis after reading up on all this stuff, and I may have a very different experience of it. Right, then I got The Bead Collector by Sefi Atta. I think I've seen this on Bookstagram. Genuinely don't know. There was actually several other books by Sefi Atta, so I don't know which one if I picked the right one. But I just grabbed this one and I said I'm just gonna go with this one, because Lola Shoneyin, who is the author of The Secret Lives of Baba Seki's Wives, or The Secret Lives of the Four Wives, I think is the other title. But I loved that book. I read it twice, absolutely loved it. So if she loves this, then I'm in. What's it about? Don't know. I just know it's based in Nigeria. Then I got Temper by Nikki Drayden. Genuinely have no clue what it's about, but I read Escaping Exodus earlier this year. I found another one on sale of Nikki Drayden's books. I think it has something to do with prey, gods of prey. I don't know. I'm going to be lying to you what the title is. Actually, maybe let me look in here. Sometimes they have the different. Oh, there, The Prey of Gods. I wasn't too far off. Oh, are they connected? No, I don't think they are. I don't think they are. They aren't. But I really did enjoy Escaping Exodus. And then I got, when I saw The Prey of Gods on sale earlier this year and I purchased it, I haven't read it yet, but I purchased it because it's set in South Africa. I was like, I'm in. And then there's this one. I just picked it up because it's Nikki Drayden. I have no idea what it's about. I'll find out one day. Then I got Tin Man by Sarah Winman. I feel like I've seen somebody talk about this because as soon as I saw it, I just grabbed it. It's been shortlisted in 2017 for the Costa Novel Award. I genuinely don't know what it's about, but it's pretty. And apparently it's like a love story. And the back says, it begins with two boys, Ellis and Michael, who are inseparable. and the boys become men. And then Annie walks into their lives and it changes nothing and everything. Don't know what that means. Very excited to read it. It's also short, very short. I think. Oh, no, she's British. Okay. I was hoping it was like from another part of the world, but she's British. It's okay. It's okay. Then I got Star Wars Resistance Reborn. And the only reason I bought this was because of Rebecca Roanhorse. So I don't actually own a physical copy of any of Rebecca's works. I own a couple on Kindle. So I own The Trail of Lightning and the other book that's part of that duology. I think it's a duology, but I own two of them. And Black Sun. I was hoping to find Black Sun. And I haven't purchased Fevered Sun yet. But I just saw Rebecca Roanhorse. Over the past week and even last weekend, I was watching a lot of Star Wars and spin-off series on Disney Plus. And so I'm just back into the Star Wars kind of vibe and read. I was about to go back and rewatch like Star Wars, not all of them. I don't want to watch episodes 1 to 3. maybe I will. I really want to watch episodes 4 to 6. That's really what I want to watch. But anyways, I was in a kind of Star Wars mood, so I was like, this would be cool to kind of watch this. I have no idea what this is about, but it's the one with my future ex-husband, John Boyega. And so, yeah, it's written by Rebecca Roanhorse, and honestly, that's the reason I picked it up. Then Coming Up for Air by George Orwell. I have read 1984 and The Animal Farm, and that's all I've read by George Orwell. I was actually surprised that he has other works. And so Coming Up for Air apparently is one of them. And it's like, it says, written on the eve of World War II, Coming Up for Air is a humorous, insightful look at the culture of interwar Britain, a world about to change forever. And it's from this perspective as this like insurance salesman. So it's just like a person kind of living his day and going through his day-to-day life when World War II breaks out. So it seems like it'll be an interesting read. I went and Googled it because I'd never heard of it to hear what people had to say. So people said it's just one of their favorite, enjoyable, most unknown works of George that they really liked. So I was like, okay, cool. Then I saw this Sal by Mick Kitson. Genuinely have no idea what it's about, but I definitely saw this on BookTube somewhere. Where? Don't ask me, can't recall. I watch too many videos sometimes. But Sal planned it for almost a year before they ran. She nicked an ordnance survey map from the school library. She bought a compass, a Bear Grylls knife, waterproofs, and a first aid kit from Amazon using stolen credit cards. She read the SAS Survival Handbook and watched loads of YouTube videos. And now Sal knows a lot of stuff, like how to build a shelter and start a fire, how to estimate distances, snare rabbits, and shoot an air gun, and how to protect her sister Pepper. Because Pepper is 10, which is how old Sal was when Robert started on her. Oh, God. Oh, that sounds awful. I mean, it sounds like a brilliant book, but it sounds pretty traumatic. Told in Sal's distinctive voice and filled with the silent, dizzying beauty of rural Scotland, Sal is a disturbing, uplifting story of survival, of the kindness of strangers and the irrepressible power of sisterly love, a love that can lead us to do extraordinary and unimaginable things. Oh, wow. Wow, this is actually probably going to be a really beautiful book. Really painful book, but really beautiful. So I will admit, when I picked it up, I didn't know what it was about, and it's like, I feel like I've seen it. So now it says Scotland, I think. I read it, I saw it in one of the BookTube videos where someone was reading around the world. I've never read any, oh no, I lie. I have read now a book about Scotland by Leila Abu Leila, so that's fair. But it is from about immigrants in Scotland, so it's a different perspective. Nothing about Scottish people in Scotland, so this could be my first foray into that world. Okay. Sorry, I've got more to go, so let me go quicker. The Book of Collie, and the person's name is hidden, by M.R. Carey. This apparently is a sci-fi. It's on the list of Goodreads best sci-fi 72 books or whatever, something along those lines. Tori, I don't know what Tori's YouTube channel is, but I'm going to link to her channel. she was talking about it, saying how much she wanted it. And so when I saw it and I was like, $50, I'm taking it because I'm trying to read a little bit more sci-fi this year, sci-fi and fantasy over the next couple of years because I really have been lagging in those two areas of late. Another book that Tori mentioned was Wanderers by Chuck Wendig. It is huge. It is massive. And the honest truth is I know nothing about this. I don't know if I'll even enjoy it, but I just thought I'll never get this book for 50 rands ever. It's typically 368 rands. Wow. It's 700. Jesus, and it keeps going. It is, ooh, I thought it was going to end as 777. Nope. It's going to be like, ooh, angel number. It is 782. Oh, no, that's an acknowledgement. 780 pages. Not a small book at all. But maybe something I'll read in like December. I don't know if I'll finish in December. But I keep thinking like, Charlie, you're buying all these books and then you're moving. And I don't feel like I should take this. Like, I don't think it's a book I should take with me. But like, if I say, look, I'm going to reach 50 books, hopefully by the end of this month. That's my target for the year. And so I think I can be a little bit more relaxed from like October onwards in terms of what I read. And so maybe I'll say, this is the book I'm going to be focusing on for the whole of October. And I could, like, if I can finish 300 pages in a week, 2 weeks is 600. So 2.5 weeks, you'll get through it. Okay, and then I got this book, The Bedlam Stacks by Natasha Pulley. Honestly, I just picked it because of the color. Best-selling author of The Watchmaker of Filgree Street. I just Googled it and they were talking about how it's set in South America. So she is British. I think Bath's in England. And that's all I know. Right? It's set in Peru. And I guess that's all I know. I almost didn't take it, but I really like the cover. It's also set in Peru. I've never read anything set in Peru, so that's why I got it. Then I got Siren. Siren is also another book that is published by Blackbird Books, so building up that stack of books by that independent publisher. The author of Siren, Cootie Roberts, is or recently passed away. I was going to say she is, but she no longer is. But she was a personality, a famous personality in South Africa. I think she was like she had her own show on one of these radio stations. She had presented a lot of different shows over the years. She was just a personality, a firebrand, and her death was a shock, was a surprise. Very unexpected, and I realized when I started seeing people's tributes to her when on finding out about her death that I knew absolutely nothing about her, but I knew that she had written Siren, and honestly I thought this was a memoir, but it looks like it might not be. It says a novel, my bad. I genuinely thought this was a memoir about her, but it looks like it's a novel. Regardless, I think I am excited to read something that she managed to pen before she passed away. I honestly had hoped it was a memoir, but it's not, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, I'm happy I still got it. And then last of the books that are, and I still got more to go, but this is last of the books that were random that I didn't expect, and this is crossover. It was actually 3 in 1. I paid $50 for 3 books. I was so excited. So it typically would be 388, but I paid 50 rands. These are, I guess, I assume it's YA. So Kwame Alexander, I'd never read anything by them. I saw that they recently have started a reality show called So You Want to Be an Author, I think, or something along those lines. And I realized I'd never read anything by them. And so when I saw this, I was like, honestly, have no clue what this is about. They're written in verse, apparently, which I actually really do enjoy reading YA in verse. It's a lot easier. It goes really quickly. And so, yeah, I actually am keen to get into this. I'm not reading any men in August, so I won't start it this month, but maybe in September I could get into this nice, quick, get through all three of them. I tend to read books written in verse very, very quickly. All right, so that's the biggest pile done. And let's go into the pile of books that I had made a list and they were books that I managed to find. So the first one is Dust by Yvonne Adiambo Awar. Apologies for mispronouncing that surname. But this is a book I have heard nothing but amazing things about, and I've been wanting to read it. And so I was like, let me put it on my list. I don't know if I'll find it. I found it. I was so excited when I saw it. I just grabbed it. So it's I think it's historical fiction because it's set in 2007. But let's see when it was published. So it was published 2014. So I would say it was counted as... Oh no, actually, portions of this work was published in 2009, so maybe not so much historical fiction. Oh no, it is. I see there's some stuff that goes back in time. So it's historical fiction based in Kenya, where we have, it kind of reminds me of Chintu. But it's a family saga that basically is going to show us the history of Kenya and colonization and I guess post-colonization, and it's around the Mau Mau uprising, which I actually know nothing about. So I'm keen to read that. Then I got Pride and Prejudice. Look how pretty this cover is. Oh my god! When I saw it, I thought it was like a notebook, but it's actually Pride and Prejudice. So I last read Pride and Prejudice when I was a kid. I have not read it since. I really like this cover. I think it's so beautiful. And yeah, so it's Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I had been wanting to start collecting more classics and to reread a lot of the stuff that I'd read when I was a kid as an adult to see if I still find them interesting. Then Quirky Quick Guide to Having Great Sex. This was a book that I saw all over Bookstagram in 2020 and I wanted to get it. And it was there. So I'm keen to read this. I don't know what it's about. But yeah, happy to have gotten it. I also wanted to get any book by Marie Lu. Honestly, I wanted more legend because that's about to be adapted into a TV series, I believe. And so I wanted that. But the truth is, what I said on my list was anything by Marie Lu. Just missed a little spot there, unfortunately, but I'll figure it out. So this is Wildcard. And yeah, don't know what it's about. It's Marie Lu, who ironically I've never read. So Rainbow Milk by Paul Mendes. People went on and on about this in 2020 and I really, really wanted this. And so when I saw it, I couldn't believe it was there, so I grabbed it. It's a coming-of-age story following 19-year-old Jesse McCarthy as he grapples with his racial and sexual identities against the backdrop of a Jehovah's Witness upbringing and the legacies of the Windrush generation. Ooh, this sounds so good. In the Black Country in the 1950s, ex-boxer Norman Alonzo is a determined and humble Jamaican who has moved to Britain with his wife to secure a brighter future for themselves and their children. Blighted with unexpected illness and racism, Norman and his family are resilient in the face of such hostilities, but are all too aware that they will need more than just hope to survive. At the turn of the millennium, Jesse seeks a fresh start in London, escaping from a broken immediate family, a repressive religious community, and the desolate, disempowered Black Country, but finds himself at a loss for a new center of gravity and turns to sex work to create notions of love, fatherhood, and spirituality. Oh, I cannot wait to read this. Cannot wait to read that. And then, as I said, I wanted to read more classics. So when I saw William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, when I was younger, was my favorite of William Shakespeare's works that I had read because we read a lot of it when I was at school. We read Macbeth. It was Romeo and Juliet. I feel there was a third one that we read, but I can't think of it. Midsummer's Night's Dream. Actually, I did like A Midsummer's Night's Dream. But yeah, so I saw this, I took it. I want to see what happens when I read it as an adult. I also have Hamlet by Maggie O'Farrell, And so it would be interesting to kind of read that and then read his works with that kind of background. And then Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I wanted anything by the Bronte sisters. I actually wanted a lot more by Charlotte Bronte. I'm trying to collect books with my name on it. Maybe as inspiration to finally get me to read some stuff. But yeah, so I read Wuthering Heights when I was a kid. My dad was an English lecturer. He's retired now, but he used to have a lot of these classics on his bookshelf. So I was always just grabbing and reading books that I probably was not in the space in the right mindset to read, but they were there. And I was tired of like reading Billy Goat's Gruff, etc. Then I screamed. I literally screamed when I saw this. So, My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. So, I had never heard of this book until I went on to BookTube in the month of July, and I was looking for like videos about reading around the world, and I read a couple of books. I watched a couple of videos where people were talking about reading around the world, and they were talking about Italy, and they would always talk about Elena Ferrante's My Brilliant Friend. Or I think it's a quartet. Yeah, it's a quartet called the Neapolitan Quartet. And so I'd heard one of the booktubers that I follow um, did not enjoy My Brilliant Friend. They actually preferred um, the story of A New Name, which is the second book, to My Brilliant Friend. And so when I saw this, I was like, is this book one or one of the other books? I needed to put book one because I wanted to read it. Because as much as I'm going to try and read a book from every single country around the world, and including different territories, so not just UN officially recognized countries, I want to start reading a little bit more consciously now, and I really, really wanted to start reading this year. So, as I mentioned earlier, sorry, that's my cat. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be reading this month. I'm going to be picking up The Dinner Guest because it is translated for women in translation, and it covers Spain, which I've never read from before, which is really fascinating that I've never read. I've read a book that features Spain in it, but it was a Paulo Coelho book, The Alchemist. So it's not exactly the same as reading something by a Spanish author, because I never have, I realized, by a Spanish author from Spain. And so I realized also I've never read anything by an Italian author either. So I'm really excited to read this. It's been translated. I'm sure it's been translated. Yes, by Anne Goldstein from Italian. And so hoping to get to that. Let me do this list pile. And then the last one is a book that is quite controversial. A lot of people really hate this book, but I have been so excited to read this. Neil Gaiman, loved it. I love Neil Gaiman. I also love N.K. Jemisin. And also the other thing that interests me is that from what people have been speaking about, there was a short story from How Long to Black Future Month by N.K. Jemisin, where she has a story about a city that is alive, which is New York, and there's a thing that is chasing the city, trying to kill it. And I have a feeling that that was the short story that inspired this full-length book. And honestly, I'm here for it. I really want to read this. And so when I saw it, I was excited. I grabbed it. I screamed. I grabbed it. All right. So those are the books that I had on my list that I found. And now for the last portion of books. These are books that were not on my list, but I was so excited when I saw them because they should have been on my list. So the first one is A Brief History of 7 Killings by Marlon Janes. I own Black Leopard, Red Wolf. I had to go back and look because I can remember its name, which I've not read yet. And I really need to because the second book, I think, is it going to be a duology, has come out. So I really need to read this one so I can get that one. But people kept going on about how this is so much better. I have to start here. So when I saw this, I was like, I'm in. It is not short. Oh my God. It is 686 pages. But like, I'm trying to read, sorry, just seeing this anyways. I'm trying to read more fantasy, more sci-fi this year because I realize I haven't been reading enough of it this year. And so, yeah, I'm excited about this one. Okay, so this was on that list, and then I realized it wasn't the book I thought it was, but it's Inferno by Catherine Cho. So I actually thought it was a different book, um, which I then saw on Bookstagram and realized it's not the same book. But so actually, this should have been part of the other pile. So it's a memoir by Catherine Cho. I genuinely don't know who Catherine Cho is now because I thought it was somebody else. um, but it's a memoir, and I'm always here for memoirs, and yeah, so it really should be part of this pile. Then this is the book that is double. This is the one I got for myself and for my colleague. She was there with me, but she had already counted her books, and so she didn't. So I said I'd buy it for her. So The Yield, again, this is another book that I found out because of one of these booktube videos around reading more diversity, reading around the world, and the booktuber, and I can't recall who it was who spoke about it, but they mentioned The Yield by Tara Jean Winch, which is based in Australia. And I've been wanting to read a book very much about Australia by about the Aboriginal people in Australia, and this is apparently one of those, and so I'm very, very excited. The other problem though is I already ordered this on Take-A-Lot for like a lot of more money than 50 rands, and so I need to call Take-A-Lot to cancel this order or replace the book for another book. I'm perfectly happy to do that. I just don't want to have two of these books. And like a part of me was like, I'm already getting this book, but I was like, I'm going to pay 50 rands for this, and then I'm going to swap out that 180 something that I paid and get another book for that same price. So yeah. Then I screamed when I saw this. Frying Plantain by Zaleka Reed Benta. Honestly, the reason why I really want to read this, I think, so this was long listed for the Gillard Prize. There are so many awards out there that I'm so unaware of. But I wanted to read, I think this is a collection of short stories, if I'm not mistaken. It's Caribbean. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that Cindy from Book of Sins has gone on about this. So very excited about that. And then The Death of Comrade President by Alain Mabankou. This is a book that the first time I ever heard about it was in, I think it's this one. Oh, actually, maybe it's not. But anyways, this author, I'd heard about him because of a competition I'd entered, and they spoke about one of his books that he writes where there is no punctuation. But I'm looking at this; there is plenty of punctuation in it, and I thought it was this book. But either way, this is a book by an author from Congo Brazzaville, which for me excites. I know that I already have one of his other works. I was pretty sure I had it pretty close, but I don't know where it is right now. It was like in Eyesight. Oh, there it is. Memoirs of a Porcupine. Actually, I think that might be the one. This is the irony. It might actually be the one with no punctuation. Yeah. Yes. So this is the book with no punctuation at all. So I'm going to do a quick story. Is it the South African Literary Festival? I don't know what it's actually called. Book Festival. It happens every year. It didn't happen last year though, but it happens every year. And in 2020, it went virtual because COVID. And they had a Who's the Best Book Club contest. The one book club I'm part of entered us into it, and we ended up winning. But during I think it was like in the second or the third round, they asked this question. So it was like multiple choice. They had like, which of these books has absolutely no punctuation in it? I got it wrong because I was just guessing. And the answer was Memoirs of a Porcupine. I just remembered the author was Alain Mabankou. And so I got this book from another. Oh yeah, I did a book haul on Bookstagram. I was like, I'm sure I should. No, you wouldn't have seen it. So I did the book haul on Bookstagram. But I got this from Johannesburg Pre-Love Bookstore, so an online, Instagram-based bookstore. And I think she gave it to me as a gift because I don't recall picking it. But maybe I picked it. Anyways, this is one of his other works. So now I own it twice. But I got really excited because I thought this was the one. You can tell that I didn't open it. But I hear that this is a really good book. Um, and yeah, so I'm here for that. This one is an interesting one for me because it has no punctuation whatsoever. So I'm very, very keen to read that. Okay, then I got Casino Royale by Ian Fleming. So actually, this should have been in the other pile. So um, the reason why I was so excited to read this is because I've never read anything by Ian Fleming, but I grew up watching James Bond because of my dad. My dad read all of Ian Fleming's books growing up. He loved it. We watched all of the original James Bond movies, like all the time. Um, I was very obsessed with James Bond as a kid because of my father was. And so seeing this there, I was like, okay, let me do this. Let me read Ian Fleming finally, as a connection to my dad. Then I saw this Bestiary by K. Ming Chang. I think I saw this all over Bookstagram in 2020. I loved the cover. This cover is not as pretty as the one that everyone else has. Not as pretty as the American cover, but it's still there. Still very keen. I have no idea what it's about. But I really know that it was on my TBR back in 2020. And then I got August Time by Kai Miller, another Caribbean book. I just want to say, like, you know what's really cool about all of this is that I'm going to be reading a lot more Caribbean. I'm building up my Caribbean collection. And whilst I actually own already August Town on my Kindle, I'm really excited to have it on my bookshelf. The one thing I do want to note here, which is a little bit irritating, is that in Brooklyn exclusive books, this book was being sold for 45 rands. But it's fine because I was never going to go all the way to Pretoria to save 5 rands. And so, yeah, I'm very excited to have that. So those are the... Oh, no, forgot. So I said I own 40. I actually have to minus 3. So I actually own 37. So then I got this book, Cantiga Finds the Perfect Name. I just like to get these books for my nieces and nephew so that they can get closer and be connected to their African history. So I got 2 of them. So one for my niece who's based here in South Africa, and one's for my nieces and nephew based in Greece. And then I got this Hello, How Many Ways Can You Say Hello? What I liked about this story is you can learn all the different ways to say hello in South Africa, in all the different languages. And I don't think I bought this for my niece here, but I bought a coloring book. So I'll decide which one I'll give to my nieces and nephew. I may give them this book or the coloring one. And then I got that last weekend. So I buy books almost every week. That's my cat, Misty. Hi, Mimi. Anyways. So yeah, those are the books that I managed to purchase at this exclusive books sale. It did set me back quite a bit of money, but honestly, it was worth it. It was worth it. I even put down some more books. Like I was going to spend a lot more, but I put down some books. I'm glad I did. I don't think I'm going to go back there. In fact, I know I'm not. It's quite stressful. So if you are in South Africa and you are thinking of going there, it does only end on the 15th. I would say go there early. Take a trolley. Get a trolley from Checkers. Put a couple of boxes in and take your time. Like basically, take your time. Expect to be there for like 3 hours minimum and you will not feel overwhelmed. Will it be nice for you to find specific books? Yes. It's actually pretty exciting when you do. But go in there open-minded and look at interesting titles, interesting book covers, and take your time going through them. There was times when I came across books that, like this one. If I wouldn't have seen it, I think it was down like this. And like you can walk past it quite easily, but I was just looking and I was like, Augustown, that sounds familiar. And I pulled it out and it was, yeah, I think people were watching me probably thought I was crazy. Anyways, if you have gone to the warehouse, did you get any books? How many did you get? Are you crazy like me? I hope that you are. I know I'm not alone because I saw plenty of people with more books than me. And in fact, the ideas of a trolley came from other people. I'm just helping you out because I wish someone had told me that before. All right. Happy Sunday.